And I will tell you it was my fault that it didn't work out. I didn't cheat, but it was my fault. One look, and I breathe. I'm gonna do a little get ready with me because I have to run to the bank and to the store. All right, so today we are talking about how I became a single mom. And just so you know, if you're expecting some sort of tea or vitriol spit at my daughter's father or something like that, I ain't gonna do that because that's her father and I would never disrespect him privately or publicly for the most part. Don't get me wrong, we get angry at each other, all those things, but I am a firm believer in what happens at home don't necessarily need to be publicly talked about, told, shown, what have you. So we ain't gonna do that over here. If you're looking for tea or a mess, back out now. I want to say I am not a makeup artist. I just watched YouTube and I do what I see that I like. I don't know what happened here. I just broke out for some odd reason. This happened again when I was pregnant around this time last year. Anyway, I don't wear foundation. I'm sure I need it, or some expert would say I do, but I don't wear that. I do as little as possible to get the best results. When my ex and I got back together, and we'll just call him Jack. When Jack and I got back together, it's a funny name for him. We got back together 3 years ago, 2020, at the heart of the pandemic. So we dated in college. It didn't work out. And I will tell you it was my fault that it didn't work out. I didn't cheat, but it was my fault. I just wasn't ready yet to get married and do all the things that, you normally would be doing at that time when, you're in love and you found somebody you really love and really think y'all work well together. And we, for the most part, do work well. So we didn't work out in college. We broke up 2011 or whatever. For the next few years, I sort of date, but nothing really worked out. He got married, had children. That was kind of tough for me because I still had feelings for him or whatever. But I moved on. Anyway, fast forward to 2020. I am single at this point. And kind of straddled the fence with God. Like, I'm sort of playing with God, but hadn't made a commitment yet. So something happened in his family and I reached out to him just like on some, hey, are you okay? Can I reach out to the family? What's their number? Whatever, that kind of thing. I wasn't throwing no shots or nothing. I thought he was still married. I was not trying to shoot no shot. I even said that, like, I don't want no drama. I just want to see if, everything's okay and what's your mama, dad, and can I reach out to him? He texted back or messaged back, because this is on Facebook Messenger. He was like, hey, things are kind of tough right now. Thank you for reaching out. I've been trying to reach out to you. I'm divorced. Baby. I was excited, okay? I was very excited. I have no problem telling you that. I was very excited. So we talked about it. We talked about his divorce and what happened. All those things. Long story short, we got back together basically in that phone call. I started going out to see him. He was in Texas. I was in Mississippi. Things were nice. They were good. We dated for a year. At the conclusion of the 2021 school year, or maybe not at the conclusion, around about March, April, he basically said, I want you to move to Texas. I was happy about it, but I really am of the opinion, if you're in the secular world, like you're not saved, if you move with somebody, you should move with a ring. Like, you need some security, you need some whatever. He wasn't ready for that yet, and I wasn't either. We had only been dating at that point 7-8 months. But it was looking like we were hunched down and getting ready to have a, for the long haul. We was finna, make something shake. So initially I was like, okay, and I was gonna get my own place. If you're out there and you're moving in with somebody, you're moving to another state or country or whatever for somebody, I do recommend that you get your own place. Anyway, I went around looking at apartments here in Texas. And keep in mind now, I live in Mississippi at this point. I am making about $2,400 a month, which, where I'm from in Mississippi, is a decent amount of money. I was paying, I believe, $500 for rent. And I know if you're in a bigger city, you're like, what? And that was considered high where I was living. $500 a month for rent was considered high where I was living. Most people in that little small town, we were paying like $350, $400. At best $450, not $500. But it was a nice house, all that. Anyway, so you come to Texas and you start looking at houses here. Maybe them houses was like $1,500, $1,400. Apartments or houses for rent. They were $1,400, $1,500, etc. It was like, ooh, clutching my fake necklace. I was like, absolutely not. Again, now, keep in mind, I come from a Christian home. My mother's on the motherboard. My stepdad is the head deacon on the deacon board. My daddy is the love of all things Jesus. Like, my brother is the minister. My best friend went to Israel on a mission trip. Another friend is going to Africa on a mission trip. Like, my peoples love God. I'm the only really outlier at this point. And, like I said, I'm playing around with the foes of God. But, so it's like, ooh, moving in together. I have never lived with another man. I've never lived with any man that wasn't my dad or my stepdad. Or, brothers. Ultimately, I agreed to moving in, obviously. So, there were some red flags that this is probably not a good idea. I ignored them. Especially because they came kind of late. They came around May. And so I had already found a job. I'm a teacher. I had already been hired as a teacher where I currently work, and I'm still there now. I had signed my contract. I had sold all of my furniture at this point out of my house. Had told my landlord I was not renewing my lease. Had given my notice to my current school that I loved at the time. So I had sort of wrapped my life up in Mississippi in a nice little bow. So by the time this red flag, and it was a red flag, popped up, and I'm not going to tell you what that was, but I was like, okay, we're going to see what the end going to be. In my mind, I can always come back home. Okay, so we move in together May 30th, 2021, something like that. I was excited. Problems started popping up immediately, okay? Just problems. It just wasn't giving what it needed to be given. And I'm not saying it was all him or all me. It was just problems on both of our parts. to me, a lot of conversations that should have been had while we were in our respective places did not happen. We needed clarification on what we wanted from this relationship. I wanted a ring. I don't think he was ready for that. So around about December 2021, I made up my mind. I'm going back home. Like, this nice or whatever, but I'm going back home. I told my family and friends, everybody was excited. I was excited. Like, I told him at some point, listen, when May hit and my contract up, I'm headed back to the house. I wasn't even trying to get my license in Texas. So Texas gives you a 1-year emergency license while you take the test you need. I was like, I'm going home, so I ain't got to worry about that. And so we were still together, living together, whatever. But I was like, yeah, I'm out. It's not gonna work. Well, lo and behold, January comes. I'm working out. I had started a YouTube channel then. I don't remember what it was named, but started a YouTube channel. I was working out, vlogging about me losing weight and meeting my goals and stuff. I was doing the same thing as I'm doing now, sticky notes and my 12-week year and all my things. I had reread some of the books from, Books You Need to Grow. From that, I had reread that, or I maybe had the first time reading it. I don't remember. And so I was motivated. I was doing a very hard workout, but I was getting used to it. I was doing a vegan diet, and I was sort of liking that. So this is the first week of that, right? So I go to weigh in. Now, I think I weighed in when I started at 250, 249 or 253, something like that. After 1 week of eating a vegan diet and working out 3 to 4 days a week. And that vegan diet was not high in like anything. Like it was very healthy foods. I gained 5 pounds. So when I gained 5 pounds, I was sort of devastated. So I keep going. I keep working out. I'm still vlogging this week. So I go work out that Monday. Cool. Tuesday comes and something in me just says, take a pregnancy test. Long story short, I take this pregnancy test and that mother sucker came out pregnant. I got up, went to my car. He was there. Went to my car, called my best friend, or one of my best friends. I was livid. I was just inconsolable. I was crying. I was upset. And she was so excited because she was pregnant at the time. So she was like, we're going to be pregnant twinsies. And I was like, yeah, that's for you. That ain't for me. I don't want to have nobody baby. Now, I was okay with having a baby, but it had to be in the confines of marriage. My whole life, I have told everybody I know, I will not make any children if I'm not married. Whole life. Never wanted to do that. I am a child of divorce. I never wanted my child to be here and I'm there or whatever. I never wanted to do that. So for me to be pregnant out of wedlock was devastating for me and still is to this day. I hate the idea of calling him my baby daddy. I'm the baby mama. And that's no shade to anybody. Like, I'm not shading you. I promise you I'm not. No problems. I wanted to be a wife. Like, that's what I wanted. I wanted my daughter or son to be raised in the confines of a nuclear family, a happy family. So to let my own self down, even to this day, is kind of like, And also it taught me some humility. Like, hey, never say never. Never, never, ever, ever say never. Because every time I done said never, I nevered. Anyway, she was excited. I went in. She made me feel a little bit better because she was so excited. I went in, I told him he was not excited. I will say this. We felt the same way. Okay? We felt the same way. Neither one of us wanted to have it. He had 2 children. He was really content with that. Neither one of us wanted any more children. Even if we were together, I was content being bonus mom. I loved and still do love those children. We had some conversations that were not real pleasant for me. And ultimately, it was said, I'm not ready to get married. There ain't gonna be no marriage. And so we ultimately decided we should, go our separate ways. And so I moved out. Moved into a very terrible apartment. Roaches, everything. Yes, I admit that. I moved in February, and I paid the early termination fee and moved out in May. So they tell you it was terrible. So the next 3 months for me were absolutely terrible. I was in this roach-infested apartment. I was alone. I was away from my family and friends. I was pregnant, out of wedlock. I think if it wasn't pregnancy, I might have, did Dad's word. I was so depressed, so in pain at where my life was. When I think back on really 2022, it just, for 9 months, it was terrible. Absolutely terrible. My family was not super enthused because they knew now that me coming home was not gonna be as wrapped up like a bow as they thought it was gonna be. And then I let them know I wasn't moving back home. Now, by the way, I am using LA Girl Pro Concealer. So this little Get Ready With Me is very drug friendly, baby, because I'm broke. Make sure you stay tuned for my budget with me, where you can see that brokenness. Anyway, those 3 months were terrible. Shout out to my best friend and my brother. They would call me every single day. Every single day. Every morning they called. And we would talk on the way to work. And they would just be like, how you doing? And I would be, not doing well. My brother and dad came down and they helped me move into my apartment and did a lot of things for me. And, they just tried to be there for me. My daddy was very supportive. Like, once I moved into this house, which is where I moved, after I left that apartment, things got a little bit better. I felt a little bit better because this house is 10 times better than that apartment. Anyway, he and I during this time are very much arguing, very much in a bad place. Because we're kind of realizing the life we planned for the next few years, whether we've been together or not, was going to dramatically change. Money we thought we would have for XYZ would be taken up with, having a baby. And I think we both, were realizing that. Maybe me more so than him. Obviously, he understood what was coming. I didn't so much. At this point, I'm realizing, yes, Jack's gonna be there. Jack's my pseudonym for my daughter's father. He's gonna be there. He's gonna do his thing, but I need to make sure that I can provide for my daughter. So I was kind of scrambling with money, and I had figured out at this point that my district did not have any kind of maternity leave. I did not know until this point that we didn't automatically get maternity leave. And that year, that August, when you do enrollment, which would have been August 2021, they didn't have short-term disability, or at least I didn't see it. They say now they did have it, but I didn't see it. Either way, though, it was only for like $1,200 a month, and I made significantly more than that. My rent was higher than that, so that wasn't really gonna do much. Anyway, I was realizing I would be off for 6 to 8 weeks, and there would be no money coming in. So I was kind of scrambling, trying to conserve money at that time. So I told my family I can't afford a baby shower. That was kind of devastating for me, because I felt like already my child is getting the short end of the stick because her parents aren't married and they aren't doing things really together at that point. At that point, we were just not in a good place. Now he did come together and he was like, okay, we can do it for this amount. And what he had to offer and what I had to offer was not going to do what I wanted for a baby shower. And maybe that was selfishness or something, but I wanted a certain kind of baby shower, and if it wasn't going to be that, then it wasn't going to be nothing. So we didn't have a baby shower. We didn't do a gender reveal. I think I just posted on Facebook, I'm having a girl. I told my family. My mom was super excited about that. At this point, she's come around to having a grandchild. But at that time, I also revealed to her I was not moving back home. And she asked me why. My friends asked me why, whatever. And I was like, listen, I am a child of divorce. My parents did that. We moved to Mississippi. My daddy was still in Chicago for a little while. That was kind of painful for my dad. I didn't want to do that to her dad. Plus, I wanted her to grow up with her brother and sister and her dad, not just my family. Even though we're from the same hometown, so she would have saw both families. But I wanted her around both of us, and I didn't feel like I don't feel like it's fair when women take a child away from a man, as if he is like a sub parent or underneath you. I don't think. Now, you can feel how you want to feel, and feel free to comment your feelings. Anyway, my family was kind of devastated by that. So, I work summer school, which helps a lot. And then I go home for July. Now, I'm still depressed, but it's just not as bad. At this point, I'm like 7-8 months pregnant. Keep in mind, I didn't do any of the things normal people do when they're pregnant. I didn't do any maternity shoot. I didn't do a maternity shoot. I didn't do a baby shower. I didn't do a gender reveal. I never posted me pregnant. I made a few posts about being pregnant, but I was not really like every day like, oh, or baby bump or any of that stuff. I was just not a happy person pregnant. If you had saw me, my students talk about it now. They were like, you were just a different person when you were pregnant. I was very unhappy. The bottom of my stomach hurt a lot towards the last 3 months. I had a lot of heartburn, but that was really all I was experiencing. I didn't have any throwing up or any of that. So I can't really say it was the symptoms or anything like that. It was just the circumstances. Being away from home, being single, being not married, let me say it like that. And I'm just telling you my truth. I'm not trying to shame anybody or talk about anybody else for what. I'm just telling you my truth. Or I'm telling you the truth or how I was feeling. Anyway, my family, shout out to them, gave me so much stuff. Since I wasn't having a baby shower, my mom and stuff arranged basically for my family to buy all the things they thought I needed. So they asked me to create what is that called? Create a registry, and I did on Amazon, and I just posted it on social media and sent it to my mom. And my family pretty much got family and friends. My family and friends, a lot of my Facebook people and a lot of my friends and associates, co-workers, current and former, bought a lot of stuff on that thing. To the point that the only thing I buy now is milk and Pampers. I don't buy no clothes, no real hair supplies, no nothing. And I'm not saying it was just my family. It was his family and friends too. So they were all, at that point, everybody was happy but us. We at that point, we tried to get back together, and that did not work. He just really wasn't ready to be married and all that stuff. And hindsight being what it is, I understand him. I really understand why he wasn't ready to be married. Now, he was not no cheater or nothing like that. He didn't do any of that. Very loyal. He just wasn't ready to settle down. Not settle down. He wasn't ready to get married. If you take the marriage part out, he might have been. He was fine, but he wasn't ready to put his name on no paperwork and put his assets on the line. And for me, I understood that, but at this point, I have given my life to Christ. When I moved into the little roach infested house and saw where my life was and how depressed I was, I ran right back to God, because that's all I really ever knew anyway. So I ran right back to God. I signed on the dotted line, got saved. And so at that point, anything we did had to be on the up and up. And so he wanted us to get back together, but he wanted us to get back together and just be living together. And I couldn't do that. And, he tried to say, okay, well, let's consider marriage or whatever. But he just was not ready for that. And I understand that. I don't have any hard feelings about it, because I wasn't ready when we were, in college. So I can't really, judge him for that. So we ultimately decided that summer, okay, this not going to work. Ain't no point in us trying. Let's just be co-parents. That was kind of tough for me and him. I think I said some things that, probably weren't that great at the time. Not cussing or anything. I wasn't even disrespectful, but just hey, I don't want to see you when I get back home or whatever. Now, once I go back home, I have to work about a month before I'm due my due date. And I started to get sort of excited at that point, because it's okay. I started decorating her room. I got back home. I washed all the clothes that were given to me and ironed them all, hung them up. And I had clothes. My family gave me clothes all the way up to 5T and still are giving me clothes. So shout out to my family if you're watching this. And so I had some things to occupy me during that time. Then my best friend, my mom could not come down for when I had my baby. And so that was kind of what? So my best friend came down. And so she was like, I'm going to be in the room with you while you had the baby. And so I went in that Tuesday at 10. I had my baby at 4:45 p.m. that Wednesday. Now, if you're looking for a link to anything I applied, it'll be in the description. Okay, so I had my baby at 4:45 p.m. and my labor was lovely. I didn't feel a thing. I took the epidural and any other drugs they gave me. So when I was pushing all that, I felt the contractions for maybe 30 minutes. Then they gave me the epidural, and it was okay. Her dad was there, and my best friend was there, and that was lovely. I had no, I have no complaints about it. I will say this about me, and I'm just being honest. The first couple of days, I had a moment of trepidation when I didn't hear her cry when she first came out, but that was kind of, quickly taken care of. So then the first 2 days I had, they're taking care of me or whatever. And in Texas, the baby stays with you. Like, maybe that's everywhere now. I don't know, but I always thought the baby goes to somewhere for a certain amount of hours a day. Not in Texas. They did what they was gonna do in that room, and then handed me that baby for the rest of the trip. You know what I'm saying? Like, she never really was out of my sight unless they had to go run tests. They would go do that and then bring her right back. I didn't feel this overwhelming love or anything when she was born. It was just like, okay, this is done. Next, what's the next thing to do? And then she got jaundice, or she had jaundice. She was born with jaundice. And at first, I didn't think much of it. And then they were like, it wasn't going away with what we were doing in the hospital. And the nurse came in and scared me. She was like, it can travel to her brain and cause brain damage. And in that moment, a surge of love and protectiveness came over me. And from that moment until now, really is when I would say changed my life. That I began that maternal love of my daughter. And, I have said on social media that this love you have for your child is like unheard of. And if you've never had a child, you will never understand until you do. Because it is like, I feel sometimes that the love I wanted in a man, that unconditional, forever kind of love, no, it's not the same, but it's like that love you always wanted, you have now. Because I love this child beyond myself. I would give my salvation if that meant she would be saved. And be with the Lord. Like, that's how much love I have for her. Over the year, because she's about to be a year at the time of, filming this video, I have gained an amazing love for her. I have felt frustration with her father. I'll admit that. Though he loves his daughter, he's there for her. He gets her. He does his thing. But I find co-parenting to be very hard because the relationship didn't work for various reasons. And so now you're trying to co-parent with somebody who you couldn't even have a good relationship with. And then there's, from at least on my part, still love there. And so we'll have arguments, and I really will be like really devastated about them, because it's like I have so much love for you that it's like I don't understand why this is happening. And I'll tell you, co-parenting, the main things that you should focus on if you're about to be a co-parent or you're considering having a child with somebody and you're not married, is scheduling and communication. Scheduling and communication, baby, they will purr. Like, if you do not have them two together, meaning, what time are you picking her up? I'm picking her up at this time. What days are you getting her this week? I'm getting her at this time. This bill has come out. Will you help me pay it? Yes or no? Concise communication. That's where we struggle at, is, and we're getting better about it. But in the beginning, it was, hey, what time you dropping her off? Well, I got something to do. If you want to get her, you can come and pick her up. And I'll just say, okay. For me, okay is I might do it, I might not. For him, okay is you on your way. And so then when I don't come, we arguing about it, and it's like, I ain't never said I was coming. I just said, okay, I could do it, or I could not do it. It's like that, like sort of misunderstandings, and one person believing you're saying this, and the other person believing you said this. So for us, and we've talked about this, we need clear and concise communication. What time are you picking her up? I'm picking her up at 6 o'clock. Or if you're not sure, I'm going to be there by XYZ time. Hey, what's your schedule like this week in terms of work? My schedule is blah. I can't really get her that day. I can't do this. Can we do that? You know, like, we need, at least us, maybe you and yours, or, you know, people you know aren't like that. But for us, we need clear and concise communication. Which, if you're honest, most relationships fail because they don't have that. Our relationship to me was flawed. Not necessarily it failed, but it was flawed because we didn't have that. Because he expected one thing and I expected another. So you take them problems into the co-parenting relationship. Now, at this present moment, I think the other thing that can cause problems is dating and relationships. And I would add to that, underneath there is there still love there for the person? And I mean romantic love. Now, I love him, but there's no romantic love anymore for me. And I think it's the same on his part. So when he starts dating or whatever, I think I'll feel a little tinge, but it's not going to be like jealousy. It's more like, who is this person? You know, will they put my daughter at risk? Will they hurt her? I'm looking back at her because I pulled her in here with me because she was going crazy over there. And see how I messed it up right there? That annoys me. And let's fix that little. So I don't think either one of us has any like lingering feelings for one another. I do think there'll be a moment where it's like, oh, you dating somebody else. Like it's weird for us because we've never really been around for that. But I don't think it's going to be like that for us. But right now, I don't think either one of us is dating. I don't know about him. Okay, I like to clean that up because I just think it looks so much prettier when you clean it up. Anyway, because I got to go get to the bank. What I've learned through this process is, number one, to seek the Lord in all your ways. My best friend likes to say, you know, Ashley, you have to inquire of the Lord. Inquire of the Lord. She says that a lot. Shout out to you, boo, if you're watching this video. I love you. I have some amazing friends and family. They really have been there for me. When I look back on the situation, like I said, I should have asked. I really didn't have to ask the Lord. But I should have talked to the Lord. And I remember my mom and dad asking me, did you ask God what you should do in terms of moving down there? And I remember saying to my mom, Mama, I ain't got to ask God to sin. And she looked at me. And what I meant by that is I'm living in sin with this man. Like, I already know what God gonna say. So I didn't need to ask him. I knew it was wrong. And to me, there's something about a person who knows God doing wrong. Like, I grew up in the church. I sung in the choir. I was an usher. All these things. So I knew what the word said. I knew what was allowed. I knew what wasn't. I knew. And so when you know something is wrong, it tends not to work. Listen, there's no shade, no tea, no whatever in terms of my relationship with her father. Jason and I, pseudonym. Or Jack and I, pseudonym. Jack and I, for the most part, we get along. We have little tiffs, and it is what it is. We kind of stay out of each other's love life. So like I said, I don't know whether he's dating. I'm not dating. I have no intentions on dating anytime soon, to be perfectly honest, because I have a daughter And I'm very concerned that any man I bring in could do something to her, either sexually or physically. And I ain't got time for that. We living a life for the Lord, and I just don't want to go to jail behind, somebody messing with my daughter. So if I start dating, I hope this time that I do it with the Lord, that I ask God and that God says yes or no, and that I listen to him. I don't want to speak none, because never say never, but that's my plan, that if a man comes into my life, that he's a man who loves God, he's a man after God's own heart, and that together we can, build God's kingdom. But like I said, if I had to go back in time and look at the mistakes I made around this situation, the main thing I would say is that I should have sought the Lord. And of course the Lord would have told me no, not to be with this person. And I should have just listened to that. Regardless of, and I'll tell you, these insecurities now, I was, in my mind, getting older, nearing 40. Plus size pal, plush pal as my friend calls it. And I just thought, I think there was some self-esteem there. Now there's some parts of me that didn't love myself enough to say, this is not really giving what it needs to be given, and I might need to just move on. Instead, I tried to make something work because I wanted to really be married and, be in love and all those things. And so, like I said, if I was to look back on in hindsight and give some advice to a young woman who's in my situation or thinking about moving in with somebody, number one, give your life to Christ. Number two, never move in with anybody, sleep with anybody, or any of this without having married them. Because that would have cut out a lot of problems for me, I think. Number three, let's say you're not into the Jesus thing. At the least, pay attention to what a person says and does. And if the two don't match, then you should move forward. But beyond, even with that, you should seek the Lord. Like, is this the person you want for me? Because the Bible says he will make our pathways bright. And so there's no need to be out here confused and what should I do when God will make your pathway bright. He would have made my pathway bright. The husband that he had or has for me might have come a lot sooner if I had not been over here doing something that was not in God's will for me. And so if I was to leave you with anything, it would be seek the Lord in all your ways, like in everything you want to do. Career, relationships, friendships, what you finna do that day, where you finna go. I would ask the Lord before you leave the house, like, Lord, do I need to go here? Do I need to do that? These are tips my friend gave me, and I truly stand by them. Like, seek the Lord in everything you do. And the word, like I say, the word says he'll make your pathway bright. And no lies told. Since I've been with the Lord, a lot of problems have been negated because I don't move the way I used to move. I say a lot to my students, Miss Brown is not a liar. And I'm not. I try not to lie on people. I try not to lie to people. And because of that, I think our relationship is a lot better. His and ours, my relationship with my students, my relationship with my friends and my family. That's what I've left the situation with, is honestly to seek the Lord in everything that I do. And to, and I could add to that, when you're looking at a mate, you should ask God, Lord, is this for me? Is this person for me? Is this the right person for me? And that might help save you and your children, if you have children, from a lot of heartache. And, you know, next steps forward for me, my goal is to really build my YouTube and Etsy channel to be a better teacher. I'm going for Teacher of the Month, possibly Teacher of the Year, and Distinguished Teacher this year. And so that's my goal. And to be honest, and to, you know, build my relationship even stronger with the Lord. And when you working on all of that, you don't really got time for the foolery. So I don't have time to be worried about what her dad is doing and all of that. Like, for me, long as he pay for that, he pay his side of things, and he gets her when he's supposed to, and he's a good father to her, I don't worry about any other tomfoolery. So hopefully I answered all your questions about how I became a single mom and, you know, my next steps forward. If you got any questions, drop them in the comment section below. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, and share this video with anyone you think might benefit from it. Bye! Next time on The Productive Mom, budget with me. I'm running out of money.